Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. It's the Jade Gemini. Tonight, I actually wanted to kind of talk about something a little different than what I would normally show on the channel, but just as cool and just as important that you could go ahead and incorporate with your EDC. So this is actually something that's pretty popular right now. This is one of the Stanley Traveler mugs with the grip on the side. So today I'm going to go ahead and bring one of my full-on reviews like I normally would. I'm going to talk about what I like, what I love, what I dislike, and if anything applies, what is rubbish about the Stanley, what would this be considered? Traveler mug, let's say that. Tumbler Traveler mug. So the first thing, let's go and get some size dimensions out of the way as much as I can here. So this is the Stanley, and this is sort of your standard hydro flask size 30, 32-ish. So as you can see, it is bigger if we kind of line them up at the butts and come down, but not by much. Although this is definitely shorter. Most of your sort of hydro flask have this deeper style lid that is really chunky. It also has a big round handle that comes across the top. Now this is a Takea, which is a great brand. And it's actually a Japanese company. And I have this, and then I also have a 40-ounce hydro flask that I absolutely love, and it's definitely larger than this, and this is actually 40 ounces, so for the size, you're not getting anything that's too much bigger, so that's also good. So, sort of size comparison out of the way, let's kind of end up going and jumping into what I like. So the first thing I like about this is the design. One thing I feel like that makes sort of the Hydro Flask-esque style, water canteens so successful and, things like that is just they're kind of simple and on point. There's not anything that they're really trying to do too much here with this tumbler. They don't have like lines in it that they're trying to go out and do, or, frag pet, even though that might be cool, as a knife guy, but they're just keeping it really simple here, and it's going to be something that's going to look nice in age and just, perfectly fine with that. So overall, I really like the design. It's quite simple. The next thing that I like a lot about this tumbler is actually all the colors that it comes in. One problem I have with the Hydro Flask is when you go on their website, usually a lot of their colors are very vibrant, very sort of in your face. You get like white, pure white, you get like pure black, which is fine, but then you get like this super crazy high vibrance, ocean blue, and then you have like a royal blue, and then you have this in your face red, and you have this insane orange, and basically you sort of get the idea. They're very, very bold colors. Whether with this, I usually like a little bit more subdued. Being a guy, I like the olive drabs. I like the, sort of sandy earth colors. Liking micarta and things like that. This is more of like a tan, something like that. So I'm more into that than that sort of in-your-face things. And they have so many awesome colors. This is like a off-white, sort of cream white. Instead of it's a very pretty color. They have one that I really love, purple being my favorite color, which is abalone, which is sort of this mauve purple. They also have a blush pink, which I really like. They also have sort of a foliage green, so it's not trying to be the OD green that every other company has. It's a little bit lighter and a little bit more subdued, and just so many other great colors that are available, and even really cool patterns. They have ones that are sort of gradient ombre. They have one that actually has sort of kind of cool rose petal looking things at the bottom that sort of fades to the top, and then they also have one that's, forgot the name, but it basically looks like speckle paint that's on like a garage floor, but it's in all these different colors, blues and pinks and things like that. So it looks really cool, and kind of like a lot of things right now, they're kind of rare, as being in this hobby, the watch community, the knife community, just about any community these days, they have exclusivity, and people skyrocketing the prices. So there's also this sort of you know how there's pocket drawer. It's kind of like a, you know, Tumbler drawer. Oh, you got the special edition. I wanted that. So that's kind of cool, you know, with it as well. The next thing that I really like about this, and I wasn't really quite sure how I would feel, but is this handle. I was afraid that, you know, if I was sitting on the desk at work doing something, I would be knocking this out constantly. But I mean, realistically, how hard is it to go boom? And then it's no different than this, right? So that's something that I really like, especially as a parent. And I know, especially since these are really popular, you know, right now and on fire with a lot of like moms and things like that. You know, there's a joke that, you know, a mom has, you know, eyeliner and has their keys and has, you know, one of those long wallets in their hand, and also has, you know, their toy for their kid and everything like that all in one hand as they're rushing out the door. So being able to actually have a full-on handle to grab onto, you know, and then carry some other things, or even, you know, as me as a guy, you know, just being able to sort of hold on to this or go like this and walk, put it beside me. I'm not having to worry about just with something like this, or like the Hydro Flask that have like a loop, and this big heavy water bottle full of water is just holding on to my pinky. You get a full-on grip that's secure and really, really nice. So I do really, really like the this handle that they've actually put onto the side. Another thing that I really like about the cup itself that I think is really important is that it has this straw that comes with it, and you can really kind of drink the way you want. You have it where you can swivel, and you can sip it more like a coffee lid, and then close it, or you can go with the straw and have it in just like this. Other cool thing is it's definitely a little bigger than your normal straw, so I think this would be easier to clean if you had things like smoothies, coffee, whatever, with just a water stream than a small straw where you're trying to have to put water pressure through there or do whatever you can to clean it. So that's the things that I like a lot about the cup so far. Its overall design, the cool colors that it comes in, and sort of the special patterns, the handle itself, and again, the straw that comes with it, and sort of the customization on how to drink. Now, what I love about this product, first and foremost actually, and I realized this while I was thinking, is the cleaning aspect. So one big problem that really holds back a lot of these style, you know, flask is the fact that they have this raised lip that interfaces with a rubber gasket. And the problem with this is, or even if you have the Yeti style tumblers, is that this is you cannot just grab this with your fingernail. I mean, even if you take a butter knife and scrape, you have to do it for 3-4 minutes before you get it out the door. And especially going back to being a parent, sometimes if you're like, oh, I forgot to clean the coffee out of their bang, and you're trying to get in there, and then, you know, you have to put hot water and shake it a million times and smell, and you're like, oh, it still smells like coffee, and it's a pain. You know, this company, Takeda, did a cool job where they have this little tab and you can kind of pull it out, but still, I digress from that. What's so cool about the Stanley is the fact that it doesn't use any rubber at all. It's plastic. It's plastic that goes ahead and screws on tight enough that it actually creates a seal. Now, there is this seal right here at the top. That's the only one on here. But it's quite easy to go ahead and get your nail up under there and go ahead and pull it down just by feeding under like this. Or again, if you got something like I've tried it, if you got something like a butter knife, put it up under there, pull it down, it comes right down. As you can see, I'm already getting it successful with my nail, which is something that's almost possible to do with the Yeti. Clean up under there. So that's a really nice thing. The other thing about cleaning, I already talked about straw. You also have this swivel, so there's really nothing that's going to get up under here because you can clean here, turn, clean here. This is really big and open, so you're not having to worry about things sticking in there. Finally, which is a big thing, I cannot get my hand down in this, even though this is the wide mouth version. this, I could stick my entire fingers easily down to the very bottom with a sponge and go to town. One step even cooler. That part. Love that, and I've never seen anything like that before. You can put this in the dishwasher, apparently. I don't know if I would necessarily be doing that, but it says you can. And also it says they have a lifetime warranty. Another thing that I love, I've already made my opinion on knives that come from China. And basically, I deducted that, if you're buying from a Chinese knife company like, Best Tech that makes this Vero to the top quality, or, Riot or something like that, they are enthusiasts that are basically bringing up their community to go ahead and make a better product. It's not like a sweatshop, it's a whole entire community of people, and instead of making a sweatshop, they are going ahead and doing things right. Long and short of it, they at least advertise that even though this is made in China, like everything else that you own, it's ethically manufactured in China. So I don't think a company would be so bold to just lie about that on the nose. So that could be a really cool thing if that is the case, and they have fair working conditions and fair pay for their workers over there in China. So that's another thing that I always love is people bringing other people up with them. So the other last thing is because of the easeability to clean and this handle, as well as the last thing I'll touch on, this really kind of makes it a all drinkware. What I mean by that is this, although you could put coffee in it, really it's not too feasible because of the issues we talked about with how much of a pain it is to get under the seal. You have to do it almost every single time. It's just really not too fun when you're going ahead and trying to have, I'm going to throw some Coke in this today. I'm going to throw some juice in this today, or some beer, or, a mixer or whatever. With this, though, the easeability to reach down in here, the sort of coffee-esque cup handle design, as well as the ability of it being 40 big ounces, you could use this as your main water bottle. You could use this as coffee. You can make hot coffee in the morning, and after wrangling a toddler and an infant through an hour and being like, oh wow, I brewed myself some coffee. It's probably cold. Well, no, because it's in this, and you're good to go. So mom, dad, whatever, that's fine. Another thing, same thing with iced coffee. If you want to go ahead and run on the Starbucks run and have them fill this up, or Dunkin' or whatever, this is going to go ahead and be cold. If you have to get to work, you're in a rush, you got to file these papers, and you're like, oh, finally I have the chance to relax and take a sip. Well, it's going to be cold, hot, whatever. Same thing. If you're out on the boat, or, you go to a nice little area where you can walk around and have a drink legally, you could throw beer in here. You could put a Truly or, whatever you're going to go ahead and drink and not really have any sort of problems, because it is so easy to clean, and it just sort of is this ambiguous sort of drinkware that covers canteen as well as a cup. The last thing is this. It is able to fit in a cup holder. There are countless amounts of time where I am driving to work, toddler in the car to drop off to childcare, and I turn a corner, hit the brakes, whatever, and blah, 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 and the floorboard. It's like, oh my God, just one other thing that's just annoying for this morning, right? You don't need that, especially if you got kids. You're already forgetting stuff out the door, packing lunches, and whatever the case. Having this just go in the cup holder, one thing organized where you need it to be, it's just fantastic. And I was afraid with it being this smaller bottle that it was going to go ahead and be, falling over. And as you can see, you're bumping it, whatever. No big deal. And I'm sure people are going to make rubber bottoms, so when you set this down, it doesn't go ding, but it's just soft on Amazon. So I can't wait for those type of things. So those are all the things that I end up going ahead and loving about this. Love the fact that it's sort of this ambiguous everything in one, from the size, you know, that you could fill this up with water, and if you forget to drink it, it's so much that you're basically getting the majority of your water intake through one whole cup of this. Again, you could use it for iced coffee, soda, whatever the case, adult beverages, so on and so forth. Yeah, so it's just absolutely amazing. The dishwasher, the cleaning, all of it. The next thing where I'm actually going to do, just in real time, is I have a little bit of water here, shot glass, nothing crazy. Not trying to make a mess, but we're going to test the water resistance. Now, one thing I do like about this system, although this is not super duper easy to use and it's not super duper easy to screw the top off of this to drink, once you lock these down, they generally are pretty water resistant. And even on the straws, we can tell that this has not 100% tolerances, where if this dumps over, it's not going to spill crazy, right? But it is going to go ahead and spill a little bit. But you get a lot bigger straw to drink through that is a lot less work than if you're using one of the Hydro Flask styles where pressurized and you have to suck really hard and you're not getting very much water. So anyways, to close this off, I'm going to basically set it on its side. And okay, so as you can see, it definitely will go ahead and spill, but that's really only if you're holding it right then and there. So if you close this, you have hot coffee, you're driving around in the car, most likely, or you're throwing it in the seat or whatever, and it spills for knocks over at your desk or whatever for a second, you're not going to go ahead and make a humongous mess, which is not a bad thing, but it is something to kind of be aware of. Sorry, it's just getting this paper towel. Should add that, Lenny. So, what I dislike about this, what I don't like, not really much. The fit and finish is great, like we already ended up going out and talking about. I would have liked to see them make it where there's no rubber, so it just was 100% sanitary. I don't know if you've heard those horror stories of people forgetting basically that they ended up haven't washed their sealant forever and they start slowly dying or something crazy like that. You have to remember to wash those things, and they can be a pain in the neck. Oh, one thing I also love is when I first got the cup, it actually was, hold on, sorry, it was like this, with the straw, which, me, right-handed, I'm like, well, that's kind of inconvenient to hold it like that, but if you just turn it until it clicks once and then screw it down, now it's ambidextrous for righties. So righties, lefties, rejoice. You can put it either way. That was something else that I did love, that they did actually think about that, because certain people just machine it and whatever way it just goes on is the way it goes on. So that's cool. But anyways, like I said, the fact that it has this seal on here, and also the fact that, although it would be one more seal to, end up going ahead and having, this is going to be a little easier to lose. Again, just a small thing, and really nothing really too big to fret. I'm really nitpicking here. The only other thing that I would say is that this handle is actually bolted on here from the bottom. You saw it earlier on, and I don't know if that could cause a problem getting loose later on, or if this is raw stainless, but still stainless, not stain proof. Over time, put it in the dishwasher, water settling, hard water in there, would it start to rust through these holes? Not really quite sure. I would hope they tested that, really, really thoroughly, but you just don't know just from face value. But something to keep aware of, and maybe just make sure that, you put this away dry. That's really the only thing that I don't like about it. And there's nothing rubbish about this. So, conclusions. Is this really worth the super big, crazy hype, the high prices people are paying for them, XYZ? I would say that this is very much like in the pocket knife community, when you have a knife that is $70 and has everything you need. Why would you go ahead and spend a little bit more money or upgrade later on to something that costs double that price. And it's really just the sort of conveniences, as well as maybe, just aesthetics, right? This cup really ends up going ahead and solving a lot of little problems. So even though I love this type of drinkware, it's really convenient that it can fit in a cup holder. It's really convenient that you can reach down and easy to go ahead and drink. It's also really cool that if you want to carry this more traditionally, like a flask, they make just a screw on top that you hold like this, right? Or they make one without the handle. But I do kind of like the handle on there, and I feel like it does add, again, a little bit of that convenience to just the day-to-day life. So I feel like if, you just like to collect these things or have a couple different options, you can get one for standard MSRP instead of, spending $110 on one, unless you absolutely just or don't have any and you think it's worth it. I wouldn't necessarily go over the hype and pay the scalper's price online that's selling it for $105, $110. But I spent $70 on a Hawaiian ombre hydro flask before. So, I mean, it can end up going ahead and happen. But yeah, I think if you're looking at this and you can find one within the price that you can justify, I would end up going ahead and getting it all day long. I think it's awesome. It's nice to see a cool company like Stanley that just kind of everybody's always seen, Grandpa Stanley, the kind of things that you put your tomato soup in, your mom and dad, those type of things, going ahead and coming into more of the Tumbler and the modern style drinkware market. I think it's pretty cool. And honestly, I think it's worth the money if you can end up finding it, and a little bit worth the hype. Would maybe like to see them improve on this seal design, maybe add a seal on the bottom of this, so when this closes, or maybe the tolerance is being pressed down a little bit more, kind of like this that has the magnet, where usually this doesn't leak. If I hold this sideways, the Yeti, slide mag, whatever they call it, usually actually kind of locks in any liquid. So that would be an improvement that I would like to see. But otherwise, it's just about bomb-proof and just about perfect. So that's basically that. That doesn't need to go any sort of longer in a nutshell. If you do end up going ahead and liking this video, I'd really appreciate it if you give it a like, as well as subscribe, as there's a lot more content. Just hit 1,000, so we're going to go ahead and continue to go forward. Of course, if you have any sort of questions as well, I love fellowshipping with everyone down in the comments, answering any questions whatsoever. Of course, most importantly, I appreciate you watching this video, as there's so many other great content creators that you could be watching right now, and you decided to watch my video, so I really appreciate that. Hope everybody has a great rest of your week. Peace.